everyone. Back, episode 3, Coanglers series. If you're new to the series, my name's Todd Castelline. Fish a bunch of tournaments, so I've had a lot of experience with a lot of different coves in my boat. So, man, episode 3, I didn't know how many episodes I was going to do when I started this thing. The questions and the comments I'm getting are, I wouldn't say they're overwhelming, but they're interesting. They're coming from a lot of different places. I'm just going to start trying to answer them all, right? Especially the ones I really like, ones I kind of think about. So I got this question. It was on my last one. It was on episode 2. It was, do you ever take advice from a coach? And if I did, why did I? You know, that's kind of a two-part question, I guess. Thought about this for a lot of different reasons, and I'll tell you. How do I start off by saying this? We, as fishermen, I think there's two kinds of fishermen when it comes to info. Some that are good with it, some that aren't. I have learned over the years, I am horrible. I am the worst info guy you'll ever meet. I don't get it. Every info I ever get never helps. And so over the years, I don't even get any of it anymore. Like the only info I'd ever like is basically if you had a big lake, right? And someone said, hey, this section of the lake's better than all the rest of them. Like that to me is good info. I couldn't care less if it was deep, shallow, whatever it was. It was like, hey, don't fish this or this, okay? I realize that I don't fish like everyone else. My style is different. What I throw is different. How fast I fish, my patience. I realize when people get in the boat with me and if they ever get on my trolling motor, they instantly turn my trolling motor down. So info doesn't really help me because my style is different than I'd say 99% of most people. So I don't think like them, right? So it's very tough on me to get info and to do all these things. So I say that I have learned that info doesn't help me. I don't get it. I don't ask for it. Now, the other thing, and I'll be honest with you on this, back when I had first started fishing, every once in a while a coangler would tell me certain things. It doesn't take long, and I'm not saying they were wrong, but like I said, my style doesn't fit their style, and if something doesn't make sense to me, I don't fish it. So if they said, hey, I got bit in this one area doing this one thing, and I get there and I might fish it for a couple minutes and go, this really doesn't make sense. Maybe they did catch fish here, but it doesn't make sense to me. To this day, I will only maybe get info from like one or two guys, and it's guys like my close buddies. A Russell Cecil, a Jason Bonds, someone that Bradley Holman, someone that I'm used to fishing. They know how I fish, and our styles complement each other, and it makes sense. So that's the only information I really pay attention to. What I realized is when I would fish these areas or these things, it never helped, ever. Like it never helped. So I just didn't do it, and I stopped relying on it. So I'm a guy who doesn't take it. Have I ever? Yes. One time I had to think about this really closely. I was on Toledo Bend. It was in a Toyota series, and for whatever happened, my batteries didn't charge up. This was 12, 13 years ago. My batteries didn't charge up, so by 10 or 11 o'clock, my batteries were basically shot. Like they were still working, but I couldn't go over, I could barely move. It was a dead calm day, and I drew a guy named Rusty Harvey. Rusty Harvey was a pretty good buddy of mine. He has since passed away. But Rusty Harvey was a phenomenal fisherman, and I drew him multiple times. But he also won a ton of team stuff. Like the guy was an unbelievable fisherman. So I had a relationship with him to a degree. I knew him. I had faith in him, and he had been practicing on Toledo, and he's won a bunch of team events. So this isn't just your regular coangler. And he had a place where you could worm some up in the grass, and we went there and caught some fish. Like I said, I didn't mind because I couldn't go or do anything. I wasn't spot fishing. I was going down the bank throwing topwaters and throwing a frog and stuff. So my style wasn't going to work, so it ended up working. But for the most part, what I realized is that like I've put in a lot of time, and even now I can't tell you how many times I go out there and I will throw everything away and do something different. I have no problem fishing a whole different new style, new places. I have confidence in myself that like I'll go down swinging on my own. And what I mean by that is if I do bad, I want it to be bad on my terms. I think I've earned that right over the years of, you know, doing fairly well in tournaments, that for the most part, even like this year, I fished 4 Toyotas. My worst finish was an 18th. So I kind of have faith in myself, even at Texoma. And it was at Texoma where, dude, I think I had 1 or 2 fish with like 2 or 3 hours left on day 2, and just kept on messing around doing new things. And all of a sudden, you know, ended up putting a pretty decent bag together. So I'm used to doing that. So I don't mind just relying on me and doing that. But everyone's different. So I do know that who you have as a coangler might determine whether or not you want to listen to them. I know there's some coanglers out there that have told me, man, we should have gone and done this, or I couldn't get them to go do that. And a lot of guys have benefited from their coanglers, of this happening. I would say this: it would be different if it's a 2-day event and on day 1 you basically zeroed, and on day 2 it's 11 o'clock and you still haven't caught a fish. I'd probably listen to my coangler. Well, I mean, at this point, what do you have to lose, right? It hasn't been working out. It's different if you felt like you had done something right in practice and figured it out, and maybe you just weren't doing good in the tournament, but maybe you missed some. Maybe bad things happen, but maybe you had a bad day, but it wasn't because you weren't around fish or weren't doing the right thing. But if you're just totally lost and you feel like you're lost, at that point in time, what does it really matter? Like, might as well listen to them. I just have chosen over the years not to. I've figured out that what I'm doing is okay. Now, with that being said, I rarely have any coanglers tell me anymore to do anything. I've had some pretty good success over the years, over the past couple years of, I don't have really horrible events. So it always feels like we're around some, or, you know, we're getting bit. So with that being said, it's a tough one, because like I said, there's some guys out there that I would definitely listen to, some coanglers out there that really know their stuff, that really might have put in more practice than the boater, and might have a better track record on that lake. And like I said, it really comes down to what you did in practice and what have you done so far. Would I listen to one right off the bat on day 1? No, I'm gonna go do my thing and see what happens. But I think there's a time in there where you can go, okay, maybe I should take some help right here. But like I said, have I been burned when I was younger more times than not? Absolutely, like really bad. And it's tough because, like I said, when you're on the boater side, there's a sense of pride in there that you want to take because of what you're doing. You know, you're out there. It should be all on you. I actually liked the rule when I fished the tour that you could get 0 help from your coangler ever. And I liked it that way. I thought it should be that way. I mean, we're fishing a pro style event. It's why they took coanglers out of there. I was all for it. It wasn't for certain reasons of having a coangler back there catching fish, doing things like that. Like, that wasn't the issue. What I had the issue of why I didn't think coanglers should be allowed in that event, we're fishing at the highest level, and they had made so many rules for you not to get any help, which I'm a big fan of. Like, I love how some of these big tours like this, like, you can't have any help ever, right? I'm all for that. I wish that was in so many more of our events. But when you have a coangler there who's a really good coangler, and there were some really good ones at that level, if you're out there, say, throwing a swim bait for smallmouth up there, you know, and that's how you'd been catching them, and all of a sudden your coangler's back there bombing around something, you know, all over the place, and all of a sudden catches like 7 or 8 smallmouth in a row doing something that you hadn't planned on doing. All of a sudden this boater turns around, starts doing the same thing. He didn't find those fish. He didn't figure them out. That coangler put him on it, and now that guy might be in the top 10 when in reality he would have never have done that. And so at that level, I think that of competition, you should always, it should be solely on the boater. Now, as we get, you know, and when I say that level, there's different levels, right? There's the Tour, there's the Toyota Series, there's the BFLs. I don't really know where TBF falls into that, the Opens, the Elites. I mean, there's different levels. And so I understand that it's not always the case, but it's a tough one, guys. I mean, and as a co-angler, once again, this goes back to all my other videos. I try not to tippy-toe around these subjects, okay? And sometimes I have to really think about what I'm going to say. It's not a knock, but you've got to realize every time I'm going to talk about the co-anglers and boaters, I'm going to try to help the co-anglers out as much as possible, right? And I'll knock on the boaters, right? I will tell you when a boater's wrong or what I don't agree with. But you also have to realize from the get-go, like from regardless of what name's out there or how it is, the boater has everything riding on him. And what I mean by that is he's in control, he's paid more than money, it's his boat, he decides everything. You always have to start with that. I mean, no, I don't care if the guy's never made a cast before in his life. That's still where it starts. And as a co-angler, regardless if you're won 20 events as a co-angler, right? If you ever want to have all those decisions and have everything right upon you, fish on the boater side. That's all there is to it. And so, like I said, those expectations of being a co-angler, what to expect, you have to go in there that way. Now you can try to maybe persuade him. You can talk to him throughout the event of if he's having a rough event, hey, maybe we should go try different things. Sometimes it might work, sometimes it might not. I've heard tons of stories where it did work, like tons of stories where it worked, and vice versa, where the boater helps the co-angler. But I'm just telling you, you just have to realize that that's where it starts. So your expectation is you might know 1,000 times more than that boater, but it's still not the same. You have to go with what he wants to do. Like I said, if you don't want that, the easiest thing you can ever do, fish as a boater. You never have to worry about that. So that's why I say to all of that. It's a good question. I hope that answers that question. I tend to, nowadays, I don't even think much about stuff like that. I do believe a co-angler can help you out, and vice versa. But I think for me, at this point in time, I'm just going to go down doing my thing. And if I go down, I'm going to go down swinging, doing my thing. I will say this. When I was fishing the Opens, I would draw guys on certain lakes. I remember drawing a guy, a local at Neely Henry. And of course, when we were there, it was the fall. But I was just asking about the springtime. And of course, they had an elite event there this year. And we were talking about swim jigging. And he was talking about the swim jigging, the grass and stuff, and about how it really wasn't that good for me while we were there. And he was like talking about the springtime, like how they called him at Neely Henry in the spring this year. And we were just talking about it. So like a lot of times I talk to him, but it's about different times of the year. Oh, you know, like different things like that. I just get an idea. But for the most part, I'd already kind of figured them out. I knew what I wanted to do. I don't get in those positions anymore where I'm just totally lost. Like like I said, if I didn't catch a single fish for 3 days in practice, that's okay. I will start that event doing something different because I always leave myself options. So that being said, yes, that's how I look at it. But not everyone's like me. Not everyone does that. And so once again, co-anglers, you are caught in a tough situation of, do you say something or do you just chalk it up to it's a bad draw? Because let's face it, let me ask you this. What's a bad draw? What would y'all rather want? Would y'all rather want a guy who is on nothing and might listen to you, or a guy maybe like me that didn't find anything but still gonna go do his thing, just hoping that you can figure something out? And this is what I tell my buddies all the time. I have a lot of guys and friends of mine that sometimes don't do as well in tournaments as they do in practice. But when they come to a new lake, they catch them right away. And I tell them guys that all the time. I said, look, the reason you catch them so good on a lake sometimes when you first get there is that even though you have zero experience of that lake, you have 20 years of experience of fishing. That 20 years of experience teaches you what to go do as soon as you get to a lake. You look at a lake, that's why I don't study lakes. I want to get there and look at it. And I get there and look at it and go, okay, that makes sense. 20 years of experience teaches you, like, that makes sense right there. I should go fish boat docks, or hey, it's flooded, I'm gonna go flip bushes, or hey, I can go throw a topwater. Like, you have 20 years of experience, just not on that lake. But that's why you do good sometimes when you get to a new lake right off the bat. You struggle sometimes in the tournaments because you don't adjust. Because even though in your head, if you had just gotten there, the conditions had changed and you would normally change with them. But now you've got 3 days of practice where you got bit running in the back of your head, right? And so the 3 days sometimes hurt you over just looking at a lake new that day. So I'm one of those guys too, that if I did bad for 3 days, rest assured, I'm going to go do something different on day 4. Like, I'm going to start off that tournament going, this should work as well. I didn't try it, but let's go try it. And that's just me. And I can be honest with you, I've caught them a lot doing that. Maybe not where I didn't get bit in practice, but like where I did something for 3 days and it was easy. And all of a sudden for the first 3 hours of the morning, it was horrible. And I'm like, something's changed. Let's go do something. If it's changed, let's go do something else. So that's once again why I don't go maybe, take advice from a coangler. Because like I said, it's changing. And a lot of those times, those coanglers, yes, they catch them on those lakes, but they don't catch them all the time. Like, we all don't catch them all the time. Like, things change. So I just think it's better sometimes to look around and go, okay, it changed. Let's figure it out. But that's episode 3, guys. I think I already got episode 4 down too. I think I know what I'm going to talk about on that. They got some more questions. I promise. I'm going to get into the whole casting deal. Like, where do I cast? Can I cast over here? Where should coanglers cast? Where should boaters not? Like, I'm going to get into all that. I'm still just a little bit, that's going to be a tough one. I'm not going to lie. But anyways, I think some people aren't going to like, I don't know if they're not going to like what I had to say, but it's just, it's the biggest gray area and worst topic ever to talk about, because no one's ever going to think the same and no one's ever right or wrong. But I am going to get into it. But anyways, how to answer this one. Thanks, Fish Doctor, for asking that question. Like I said, if you got any comments or questions, ask them. Guaranteed I'll probably do, I'll do a bunch of these. So I'll try to get your question on here, no doubt. See y'all, guys.